Well, what is going on, Mafia bettors? Welcome into Mafia Bets on the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. This is a Bills Mafia-based betting show for all of you Mafia bettors out there. We're going to talk about, well, we're not talking about this week's Bills matchup because it already happened, but we're going to talk.
We already won.
We already won. We're going to talk a little bit about it, but we're also going to give you the ins and outs, the whys, why nots, and things like that for the betting lines coming into this week's Sunday games. Give you effectively all the things that Dan likes and what Dan doesn't like. And I'm going to give you a little bit of my feelings on some things too, but mostly it's going to be Dan. We're also going to give you the overreaction, underreaction, as well as the hammer bet of the week. My name is Joe Miller, and you can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired, alongside my co-host, that guy right there, Dan Frederick, our professional gambler, who you can find on Twitter at Buffalo Freddy. Please do us a favor. Please like, please subscribe, whatever platform you are consuming this presentation on. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Hopefully you have been taking Dan's advice. If you haven't, hopefully you'll start taking Dan's advice. And then as the winnings come in, the responsible winnings start coming in, they will then tell friends, like, you've got to check this show out and get in the know, because Dan is picking winners to include Thursday night, Cook over 83.5, 90% units on the Bills money line. Dan, you're freaking crushing it, bro.
Yeah, we're doing very well. A lot of my close friends who I've talked to for years and years, they keep asking for advice now that we have this going on. They've known I've done well for a while, and
just watch the show.
Their bankrolls have gone up a little. It's kind of hard to just tell my best friends, hey, just watch the show. But yeah, better tune in, boys. Let's take a look at this right away. I wanted to just get some easy money right out of the gate to start the week. I never sweated this game whatsoever. I know it was close. We won by 10 still. The game was never.
There was a moment. It was never out of hand, but there was a moment when it was tied, and this doesn't matter. But like literally, it's the game is tied. The Bills are punting, and if the Dolphins go down the field and score, they've got momentum. Luckily, we had the roughing the punter penalty, and the Bills went right down and immediately put the game away. But I sweated it for about 45 seconds.
Nope, I didn't. I really just didn't, because we have Josh Allen. We have the fact that our defense was scouting. I mean, for three quarters, Miami was kind of doing the same nonsense on third down. And you watch that replay of Darren Johnson. They scouted that for sure. He knew what was coming, and he jumped that route. As soon as he dropped back, he started going right where he thought that receiver was going to be. Right. And the Dolphins make mistakes left and right. Every game, they're making some sort of foolish mistake. They did it with the roughing the punter. And towards the end of the game, we put it away. And
they also had they had several ineligible receiver downfield penalties that really put them behind the sticks.
They're a poorly coached team. And there is no such thing as an absolute sure thing in betting. You're gambling. But I never thought from the beginning of the game to even when it was tied late that the Bills even had a prayer of losing this game. They didn't. We picked up 10.59 free units. And what I said on the Thursday show was I'm betting 90 units of the 100 to win 100 plus, so that we are, quote, free rolling going into the weekend, which every bet that we made besides this bet of 90 units to win 100.59 was free rolled on Thursday Night Football. And I did nothing with it. I kind of got a lot of things right, but it didn't matter because I got greedy. And these parlays that everyone's trying to hit for extra money and whatnot, we lost them all. So I'll take this off the screen. We won. We are up 0.59 units on Thursday Night Football because we won 10.59 on this game. But,
so the other 10 units that you bet parlays on, we missed on. But because of the sure thing hammer bet, we ended up 0.59 units.
That's exactly correct. So what I did was I took James Cook. The thing we talked about most, how I just think James Cook, steady Eddie. He's getting the ball. Over 83.5 rushing and receiving yards for James Cook. I had with every other little thing we put in for 2 or 3 units here and there on Thursday Night Football to equal 10 total units extra that we bet.
Right.
I lost them all. Every single one of them was a loss because, A-Chain we missed by 5 yards. Jalen Waddle, who had a bunch of clutch receptions, still didn't really rack up yards. So while we hit leg one, which was James Cook over 83.5 yards on every other little parlay, we end up losing each one because basically Miami didn't really have big yards anywhere. They
Yeah,
just
nobody
got
came
every third down imaginable, but it was never for huge chunks.
Yeah, nobody came through. Gotcha. Now, before we move on to this Sunday's football games contest and what we like, don't like, and hammer bets and all that kind of stuff, you're wearing a special jersey for this.
Yeah.
Real quick. So why don't you talk real quick just about the jersey you're wearing and why you're wearing it?
I'm a Sabres season ticket holder. I have a lot of respect for Rasmus Dahlin, our captain, and I've only got an A on this because I have a jersey from 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Over the summer, it just came out that over the summer that his fiance Caroline had like emergency heart surgery.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like she went into cardiac arrest. I've actually been to their home. They're very pleasant individuals. My party rental business has done work for them. They treated me like, just a normal person. They welcomed me in their house. I did some things for them for a big gathering for them. That was a shock. I had no idea. Actually, their annual party that I was expecting to be a part of this year, I never heard anything about. Now I understand why.
Right.
But I'm wearing this jersey only because, just for them.
Yep.
Very happy that she's doing well now. But that's so scary. Wow.
Yep. So thoughts and prayers out to Rasmus Dahlin's fiance, not wife at this point, but soon to be wife. But Caroline. So if you're of the thoughts and prayers type, send up a thought and a prayer to Rasmus Dahlin's fiance. Now, getting into this week as we kind of look forward, that no more Bills game to stress. So we, as the Mafia, get all day on Sunday to just sit back, watch football, get fat on the couch, fat and sassy, watch Red Zone or whatever it is that you watch all day football, Dan. But real quick before we get into it, just to kind of, you've already talked about the units thing, just to bring people up to speed, as I know that we've got new viewers and listeners every single week. We break the betting down on this show. You do, which I love this system. I was talking with somebody about it on Twitter today. Because it was very much like, hey, must be nice to have them like all this money like to bet with. And it's like, no, we bet in units.
We are up money on a very simple 100 per unit per week system.
Correct.
Does not matter if you live paycheck to paycheck or if you have all the money in the world. All that matters is we are up a certain percentage. We are up 80% return on investment at this point in time.
Right. And it's based on units. So betting units, and we bet 100 units a week and no more than that. And as Dan always likes to say, you do not have to bet, but we bet 100 units, and the one unit can amount to whatever you can responsibly afford without taking food off the table, not paying your rent or your mortgage, not paying the electric bill, whatever it means. Gamble responsibly, make it entertaining, make it fun. 100 units. So a unit could be a cent, it could be a nickel, could be 25 cents. In our case, it's $1. If you've got the ability, it could be more than that. So, but for us, 100 units once every single week, and that's where we're at. So, Dan, with that, let's get into what the overreaction bet of the week, which the overreaction bet is the one that everybody seems to want to bet and overreact about, but Dan doesn't like it.
I don't really like a couple things this week, but we've made really good money off the Chargers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think the rest of the public is going to start coming out of them. And they're playing in LA again this week. I do not like divisional games at all. I just don't. If you can pick anything under the sun for the week to put what you're willing to bet on, don't bet divisional games unless you just are so confident in something. Now, we have really crushed the Chargers between the Hammer of the Week, Ladd McConkey, week 1. We've laddered Quentin Johnson 2 weeks in a row.
Right.
Quentin Johnson, I'm overreacting on the Chargers as a whole this week, but specifically Quentin Johnson, who is now going to be most likely going up against Patrick Surtain, the reigning defensive player of the year.
Right.
Ladd McConkey's a slot receiver. Surtain's an outside boundary receiver. Keenan Allen's going to be in there on occasion as well, but based on what people thought going into the season, Quentin Johnson's been getting a lot more playing time. That means he's going to be playing with Surtain left and right. I am not touching Quentin Johnson this week, and Vegas is they're really starting to change their lines and react to how some of the guys we've picked in the past have done well. So the lines for Quentin Johnson week 1 were 24.5, 25.5, and he hit like 90 yards.
Right.
They're starting to really creep up 10, 15 more yards. Jameson Williams is starting to get a little bit higher. James Cook, who's a superstar, but his lines are getting higher and higher and higher. So we need to really pay attention. If we put money on a line that's Ladd McConkey week 1, 53.5, and he's in the 70s now for yardage, That's a lot more. And we need to start picking other players that have low lines that the public isn't so on. Because they basically Vegas raises the lines based on volume they're getting.
Right.
So we got to find other people. I'm fading. We're overreacting on Quentin Johnson.
Right. And just so everybody kind of is aware, Dan talked in week 1, first episode of this show, about outliers, that he likes to find outliers. And that's effectively what Dan is talking about right now, is just those guys that are out there that we expect to do well, based on matchup, based on history, based on certain key factors. And what happens is when guys overperform and they no longer become an outlier, as Dan said, money goes to them, but Vegas loses. And we all know that Vegas is not in the business of losing. So then they begin to slide those lines, like the percentages drop, and the under overs and all that kind of stuff kind of change. So it's up to us and you to do your proper research, not you, Dan, but the people listening, to basically find those outliers and those good matchups. So the next one would be the underreaction, which is the bet or the guys or the things that other people are not necessarily paying attention to that Dan loves. Dan, what do you got?
So I think the whole NFL world going into this offseason absolutely had Danny Dimes as an afterthought, right?
Yes. Backup quarterback in Indianapolis, right?
I still going into the year had Richardson on my dynasty fantasy football team. But a rookie first round pick who's done very well to start the season. He's had over 70 yards, 79 and 76 yards his first 2 games. Tyler Warren, tight end, Indianapolis Colts. They're playing a pretty bad football team in Tennessee. His line is 47.5, which kind of baffles me after how well he's done the first couple weeks. There's not a lot of volume on him right now either. I know earlier in the week he was, quote, questionable, but that was kind of like James Cook last week with his hamstring. So maybe that pushed the line down a little bit. He's not yet a star, so his lines are down. I'm taking Tyler Warren over 47.5 in a lot of different spots.
Nice. Very good. So you're going to parlay him in a couple different things.
Yeah, we'll share the screen at the end of everything that we put on, like we do every time. But yeah, he's in a lot of different. We're laddering him again with the ladder, where we take his over under 47.5. I've got him somewhere for 60 and 70. I didn't go above 70 because that's just where he's peaked at. But he's in a couple different parlays that pay a bunch.
Gotcha. So stay away from Quentin Johnston. Run to tight end Tyler Warren. And now for the hammer bets of the week, the things that you need to be all over. Dan, what are the hammer bets?
I always have been saying stay away from stars, right? But there's just something that's way too juicy for me. The absolute worst run defense in the league is the Carolina Panthers. Your hammer bet's Bijan Robinson. He's playing Carolina. Bijan has, in 2 weeks, he's got 124 total yards and 168 total yards. That's
between the 2 games, or individually, game to game.
And he's got a line of 110.5.
Under the first 2 games.
Under what he's had the first 2 games for rushing and receiving yards. And he's playing the hands-down worst rushing defense in the NFL. Was last year, is again this year. So hammer Bijan Robinson over 110.5 rushing and receiving. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be parlaying that all over the place with different things that I like that we'll get into other bets that we like this week. But I'm also going to be taking, say, if I bet 10 units on that, I'm going to be putting like 5 on just his rushing and 5 on just his receiving. So if one really blows the other one out of the water, it hits. His rushing his rushing yard is at 81.5. I mean, I really think he goes over that as well. I think he goes over his receiving as well at 24.5. So I'm putting it on all 3 of those. His combined rushing receiving, his 81.5 rushing yards, his 24.5 receiving yards. And they're not the greatest passing defense or offense yet, the Falcons, but they dump the ball off the Bijan all the time. And they're just going to run it down their throat all game.
Yep. And this is one of those rare instances, going back to the top of the show, where two divisional opponents are playing each other. But this is one where the matchup is just too good. There's too much candy on the popsicle or on the sucker to stay away from it, right?
And to be clear, I don't mind players in a divisional matchup taking their yardage. I really just don't like betting an over-under or taking the lines. Just like I didn't touch the Bills spread versus Miami minus 12.5 until it moved. But Yeah, I'm not touching that game's line being a divisional matchup, but Bijan Robinson should just go off. And I'm laddering Bijan all over the place.
Yep.
I took his line being at 110. I bet 130, 150, and then I think it maxed at like 180, where you get plus 1,500 if he goes over that. Sure, he just had 168 yards last week rushing and receiving versus a better defense.
Right.
So if they're going to give me 15-1 for him to basically repeat what he did last week versus a worse team, taking it every single time.
Nice.
We really
with that, there's some other stuff, as you were just about to say. There's some other stuff that you like that you're going to get into right now. Yes.
Yep, we'll share the whole screen as we do every single week. This is everything that we put in, every player in different. We've parlayed them in different ways, but we've got everything that we had on Bijan for the hammer. But I am just going to be the first thing that I'm doing every week. I'm looking for who Kaiir Elam is guarding. Like
former Buffalo Bill,
yeah,
Buffalo Bills legend Kaiir Elam.
Malik Neighbors just went nuclear.
Yeah,
last week.
As did the backup. I forget his name. The backup
Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yes, Wan'Dale Robinson had a huge game.
I wasn't on that, but he went nuclear against Kaiir Elam. Their secondary for the Cowboys has a little bit of injuries here and there. I don't think Trayvon Diggs has came back from his ACL injury and really done much. So that whole game is just fire.
Right.
You could look at that game as a whole and just start throwing your units at almost any line that's there for a halfway decent player. We're talking the Bears versus the Cowboys.
Yep.
Both teams are coming off of like a no-show defense game. The Bears just gave up 51 points, 52 points versus the Lions.
Right.
Russell Wilson just went for 450 yards and 4 touchdowns against the Cowboys. Russell Wilson. Okay. Right. So we've got Rome Odunze, 60.5 yards. I'm laddering him all the way up to about 120 yards because he had 120 yards last week.
Right.
CeeDee Lamb has been a focal point of that offense. He's at 81.5. He's had 110, 120 yards every single game, and he's playing his worst opponent yet. Okay. Mm-hmm. Javonte Williams, who we've bet on every week to start the year, they're not changing his line much. And now, again, he's playing a terrible Bears defense. So Javonte Williams over 60.5 rushing as a line. And then somehow they're giving us plus 174. So that means if we bet $100, we get returned $174 if Javonte Williams goes over 80 rushing and receiving yards combined.
Wow.
I love that. Then Indy again, we're on a bet with Tyler Warren for his receiving yards because it's great value. So I'm not taking him and Jonathan Taylor combined at all in any parlays, but separately, Jonathan Taylor, 108.5 rushing and receiving yards combined versus, the first overall draft pick team in the Tennessee Titans. I think that's really good. And then the last thing that I have, it does not pay very good odds at all, but Josh Jacobs, anytime touchdown he's playing the Browns. I think that's actually going to be a smash mouth game, but I think he gets in the end zone. So I'm going to lay Josh Jacobs anytime touchdown at like minus 175 as a part of several different parlays.
Gotcha. Good stuff, Dan. Dan has done the work and prepared us, and now we're going to take a look at where we're at. So you can see up at the top right-hand corner, for those of you that are not online with us live right now on YouTube, it says 280 units is where we're at. So we are up 80 units.
0.09. Don't forget
0.09. 80.09. Yes. So we are up. So this is not a get rich quick scheme, just so everybody knows. This is
Vegas makes all their money off the get rich quick people. And that actually leads into something I want to talk about is bankroll management. And I got a little more risky with the bets that we did this week purely because we are up. We can afford to now try to make more money on our bets, right?
Right.
So if we go up to the very top of what we did towards the end, I spent like my last 10 units I had for the week on some things that are a little bit more risky. For instance, I took almost everything that I like, and I've said on here that I'm only usually doing 2 or 3 team parlays, but I took 4 anytime touchdown for Javonte Williams, Rome Odunze, Bijan Robinson, Josh Jacobs. The 4 of the 5 players we talked about that I like the most this week, and it's getting plus 845. So nice. But all of them have to hit.
Right.
And here's the biggest one. This is the largest parlay we've put on here so far. $5 pays basically 100. 5 units pays basically 100 units. We've got some action on Roma Dunze on his normal. Everything's right on their lines. Roma Dunze over 61.5. CeeDee Lamb over 81.5. Javonte Williams over 80 rushing and receiving yards, which that at plus 174 is crazy. Tyler Warren at his line of 47.5, and then Bijan right on his line, the hammer of the week. That pays really good. It's only 5 legs on that parlay. It's not the 9, 10, 11, 12 that people want to put in every week. I think it's more, and it pays very good. It pays plus 1,900. So we'll start up here, and this is everything that we put in for the week. I'll scroll down. We put some anytime touchdowns that involve Josh Jacobs. That bet, those couple bets we talked about there. And then I started getting into laddering lines like we did previously with Quentin Johnson and CeeDee Lamb that pay really well. We've got Bijan Robinson over 125 yards at plus 144 combined with that Javonte Williams line. We just bet Bijan as the hammer of the week. We've got a lot of Bijan here because he's the hammer of the week. It's the bet I like the most. So I laddered everything possible with Bijan. Then we mixed and matched everything that we like for the week. That's what we've done each week, and it's been profitable. Take your 3, your 5, your 7 lines that you really like and mix and match to where you're getting consistent winners here and there. You don't have to go for plus $1 billion. Here's the rest of everything that we put in. Everything
plus $1 billion. I'm retiring my family on $1 bet if I'm plus $1 billion, Dan. Come on.
You said plus $1 million last show. I wanted to make it even more.
$1 billion. That's great.
Yeah. I really like Roma Dunze a lot.
Yeah.
Kyrie Elam, come on.
Yeah, for sure.
And that weather's a factor. Remember that as of right when we put all these bets in, it looked like there was rain coming in on this game at night. So way after the game. Wait till the game is about to happen. If the weather starts to move in and this all of a sudden is going to be raining, I wouldn't be putting these in for that game as heavy.
Right.
That's a factor for sure. So
got it. Good stuff. With that, I think that's a wrap, right? That's everything. So hopefully you guys are paying attention. Hopefully if you were not taking notes, you'll go back and listen. But hopefully you were taking notes, and now you kind of got an idea or a leg of what we've been doing there. Dan's put it back up again for us. So overreaction, stay away from the Chargers. Stay away from Quentin Johnson specifically versus Patrick Surtain. Underreaction. Tyler Warren over 47.5 and ladder up to 70 yards. The hammer bet of the week, Bijan Robinson over 110.5. Over 81.5 rushing, 24.5 receiving, and then other bets that Dan loves: Roma Dunze against Kyrie Elam, CeeDee Lamb in that football game as well, Javonte Williams twice, Jonathan Taylor, and then Josh Jacobs for the anytime touchdown. Any final thoughts or comments before I get us out of here?
Love that the Bills have 10 days off. It's a mini bye week. I think they're going to look like a little bit of a different football team next week. They're playing an inferior opponent again. Their money line went to minus 1,350. We bet it minus 850, which you kind of need a home equity loan to be able to make any real money off that. To make money off their minus 1,350, you pretty much need a second mortgage. But they're not losing that game. Sean McDermott's excellent on the bye week. I'm sure we'll get into that in the next episode. But things are going to change now. They're gonna adjust.
Yep.
Their strategy, but they're going to win again next week. We're on a nice ride for a little while here.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to Mafia Bet presented by FanDuel on the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Network. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and hopefully you are betting responsible. And as always, if you've got a gambling problem, please seek help. This is for entertainment purposes only. And as Dan always says, we've said it earlier, you do not have to bet, but bet responsibly. But for me, for John, for Jerry, for Dan, for Anthony, for all of us here at Overreaction, we love you guys. Appreciate you. Go Bills.
Enjoy your Sunday off. Watch some good football. Win some money. Go Bills.
Go Bills.